Hey y'all, welcome to Conversations with Heavy Cardboard. Today should be definitely a good time. I'm pleased to be sitting down and chatting with a guy who is not only a very good personal friend of mine, but also the man behind one of the hottest up and coming board game publishing companies around. In just a few years of existence, he has single handedly made available to a much wider audience such fantastic games as the 2013 Golden Elephant Award winning Arkwright, Three Kingdoms Redux, the Coal series, Lignum, along with the upcoming second edition of Wildcatters, the Climbers, and the most brutal auction game of all time, Neue Heimat. And just because, he's not busy enough, he also co-hosts the Deep End podcast as well. I am, of course, talking about the Troy, Ohio's native son, Clay Ross of Capstone Games. Welcome to Heavy Cardboard, Clay.
What an introduction, man. Holy cow.
Well,
It's
just
like
trying to do it upright,
I
right?
appreciate, yeah, that's nice. It's like a Game of Thrones introduction. I don't know if you watched that show,
Oh,
but
of
man.
course I do. Sure.
Awesome. But
So
yeah,
how you doing today, Ma?
so I don't know if you know, my wife and I had our second kid about
Okay.
a month ago.
Man,
And
you just ruined my whole. I was like, all right. So first off, congrats on kid number two. But all
yeah,
right, go
thank you.
ahead. All right.
I am struggling, man. I got coffee again today, and it's just been a rough month. I mean, we get about 2 or 3 hours of sleep, then the baby wakes up, and then
Oh,
it's just back and forth, man. So
that,
I'm dying for the day where it's just like I can sleep. And
well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you made this decision, right? I mean, this was a
mm,
this was a choice you made. That's
yes,
why Amanda and I only have a greyhound.
well,
Just
there you go,
saying,
man. There
right?
you go.
All right. So first off, we'll start with the softball. What got you into the hobby? First off.
Got me into I've loved board games forever. Back in the day, I used to play Monopoly all the time. That was my favorite. I don't know. I think it was just the money and the way you can interact and trade with people. That was awesome. But that fell off the wagon, I don't know, in high school and college and all that. But um, then I picked up Catan at Barnes and Noble, my brother's recommendation, which was kind of weird because I was like, he's like, yeah, you should play this. You would like it. And I was like, when have you played this game, Catan? And so we got it, and I just remember reading the rules and just that moment of my just this open world where you have decisions instead of just rolling dice and you move that much and that's what you do.
Right.
The ability to interact and live. This is like a true trading game with people, and that was just the most awesome experience. And I just fell in this huge black hole of just exploring all these games, and that's really where it got started. And that was about 2010. So
All right. So you actually have a few years on me because Amanda and I didn't really seriously get into this hobby until about 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago now. So, all right, cool, cool.
okay.
Um, so did you just, one day think, hey, I hate money. Let's start a board gaming publishing company. No, no, seriously though. How did publishing come about? Because normally you hear about people wanting to start designing games. Not Clay. He wants, yeah, let's publish. So how did that come about?
Well, just to be completely honest, we
We
share. I
we
mean,
prefer that. Yeah.
yeah, we share we share similar tastes. We both like heavier, complex games. I
Tell
mean,
me more. I'd like to
yeah.
subscribe to your newsletter. Okay. All right.
But yeah, so like when like 2012 is like when I really got into the heavier stuff. Um, it's hard to find good quality games. I fell in love with Coal and Colony, and um, that was like the first game, like the really heavy, dense game that I've ever played. And um, finding these types of games are really few and far between, especially in the United States market, unless you have a big fat bankroll and can afford international shipping.
Fair
Um,
point. Or just have a show.
so,
Either
yeah,
or. Right. You're
exactly.
right. Right.
Right.
Gotcha.
So in the same vein as you guys looking to get the awareness spread out there and creating this content surrounding the what I consider phenomenal designed games,
You okay?
I wanted to bring that to people. If you get to know me on a personal level, which you have, but um, for everybody else out there, I've got a couple brothers and a sister, and they make fun of me all the time, especially with food. Whenever I like something like if it's a new food and I try it and they've never had it before, I will be on them like, you guys got to try this. It's so good. Just try it. Like I'm gonna be on you in Germany, man, for beer. There's some beer you gotta try there, and you're gonna do it. I
For
guarantee you're gonna
for
do it.
those that don't know, Clay with sleep is like herding cats. So Clay on lack of sleep, it's going to be a handful. So okay, but on a serious note though, I mean, it's one thing to say, wow, you got to try this awesome game, and hey, it would be great if more people could play these because this print run only had 4 copies in it or whatever.
Hmm.
But that's a huge step from going from that to, yeah, actually, I'm going to be the one to make that available. So how? Plus,
I've
you have a wife and kid to support, now 2 kids to support. So how does that
Yes.
decision get made?
It really started. I started thinking about the business in 2014, and I had graduated. I graduated from with my bachelor's in 2010, and then I graduated with my master's in business in 2013. So around 2014, I got the idea because I knew I wanted to start my own business and do something for myself. And I felt like I had the acumen behind it to be able to understand all the aspects of running a business successfully.
Okay.
And um, I knew I wanted to be in the board game industry, and I found a perfect fit with the heavier games. I love them. They're not available. Let's bring them and make them available. People are wanting more and more out of their games. This is the perfect opportunity to enter the market. And just really kind of taking all the education that I had in the past and just putting it on paper and making the right steps forward. Just wanted to make it happen. Yeah, it's risky, and I'm a person that is of the belief of we all have short lives, and you're only here once. So make the most of what you can. Don't just get into a grind and just settle. Really get out there and try something. And this is me doing that. And yes, it's very risky. Sometimes I don't sleep well at night because it's I mean you're freaking out a little bit on the inside, but and then at the other time you're riding the highest highs you've ever ridden before in your life, and it's been totally worth it so far.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah, and
Hi.
you're in the same shoes, man. I mean, you are literally, and you're actually one step further than me, because I still have a day job, but
Right.
hopefully that will come to an end soon.
So it was just a perfect storm. Again, a lot like how we started the show. We saw a market lacking with the podcast and obviously eventually the YouTube channel. And so we were like, hey, there's not a lot of people covering this. And so you went about it very much the same way, just from a publishing standpoint then. Just
Exactly,
there was a
exactly.
hole, let's fill it.
Yes, there's an opportunity, especially in the marketplace. If there's the demand for it, you just need to make sure you can serve the demand and recreate that demand through time and build a strong brand. And if you can do all the things right, then you'll be successful.
All right. Well, on that note, though, how do you go about selecting the games that you want? Oh, well, let me back up. Before I even get started on that, why don't you go and tell folks about your publishing, I guess, principles? Like, what is it that drives Capstone Games? Because up to this point, you have done nothing but gotten existing titles and reprinted them. So why does Capstone exist other than that? What I'm fumbling over my own words here. Good thing I don't have a podcast.
You're fine.
But no, seriously, what's the driving force behind Capstone as far as what is your?
Like, what's the brand? Like, what's the
Yeah,
definition
I
of the
guess that's a
brand?
good way to put it. Sure, go with that.
The brand, obviously, heavier games. Um, I I'm not a fan of if I'm going to a game night, I'd rather play one game that's deep. It's got a lot of tough decisions to make that have lasting consequences. And it's just a lot to get your head wrapped around. And those kinds of games don't get old to me. My wife and I play games, and she's not a big gamer, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we'll play Splendor together. Targai is another one we play together. But after, well, kind of excluding Targai, but like and Japor. But after playing those games about 10 times, it kind of becomes more of the same. You know, there's
Right.
you feel like
Okay.
you've explored all the options with the game, and that's just a letdown for me. I like to explore. I like to try things, as I mentioned before. When there's a game like Arkwright or Through the Ages or Nations, which is a little bit better than Through the Ages.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. We're gonna fight. Okay, it's gonna be like that today, Clay. Okay, all right.
But games like that where you play it one time and you're like, wow, that was really cool. I didn't realize that, this was going to happen. The rules didn't really, I mean, I understand the game, but I didn't understand the consequences that were going to happen. Then you play it again, you've taken what you've learned and you play it again, and then you think you're going into it like, oh man, I've got the best strategy, it's going to work, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, left turn, there's something else that happens,
Right.
and it's just you keep uncovering these layers. I like to think of it as like a 9-layer cake. The first layer is your first experience, and you just keep uncovering these layers and layers of design, and it just blows me away that one person, or in the case of Nuno and Paulo, two people can create such a unique economic system that just flows like that. It's so natural, and those are the types of games I like, that just encompasses all those elements and are able to provide multiple plays of just uncovering and discovering and things like that. So
It's like I'm interviewing myself. This is pretty weird, I gotta
yeah,
say. It's
I'm telling you, man, we have the same tastes.
well,
So
I mean, you do. I mean, Capstone started. I mean, I realize you haven't said it, but I mean, basically, you just go through our backlog, or our back
yeah,
catalog, and
there's a shirt you guys have out there that's like an out of print on the back, I think. So I have that on my wall, and I just got like I've got a Sharpie, so I like scratch it off like 2018. Then there's like one for like 2019. No, I'm just kidding.
no,
But
see,
yeah, it
and
is.
people think you're kidding, but I really don't think you are. All right, so that's kind of the publishing philosophy, I think, is a good way to put it. So now
Yeah.
you have up to this point only done reprints or republished games, however you want to use the right verbiage there.
Can I just say something about? I feel like that has a more like a. I don't want to make it sound like it's just like, hey, we're just out there finding a game and reprinting it.
No, and
Uh,
I don't mean to diminish it, but please go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna like. I'm not the only game that we've truly like really. Hey, we reprinted it and done nothing with it outside of production enhancements. Is Three Kingdoms Redux.
Right.
That game has been play tested beyond play testing means, and there's nothing you need to do to change it. Um, but we enhance the quality of the components. But with Arkwright, with Lignum, with the Rushifart reprint, we're adding so much content to it. We're taking a game that was great, and we're just putting more into it from the designer.
All right.
So
So one of our patrons actually asked the question when I was getting ready for this. He wanted to know, do you think publishers who decide to reprint a game shortly after its initial release, say in the first few years or whatever, do you feel there's an obligation to make upgrades or changes or et cetera to make it viable to early adopters, to give them a reason to repurchase the game then?
that's a double-edged sword that I've learned. I learned that really quickly, especially with Arkwright, because we added an extra 2 game modules,
Right.
um, and everybody that has the first edition comes to me for, hey, we need an upgrade kit. We don't want to have to reinvest in a whole new product. We just
Right.
want to be able to, buy the upgrade kit. That's more stress on the publisher because depending on who the original printing was done by, you don't know how many copies are out there, especially in the market that you're focused on. Um, you don't know, and that's the biggest uh, mystery out there is like, okay, so for example, Arkwright, there's 1,000 copies. How many copies made it to the United States? I don't know. It's tough. You can look at the fun again numbers, and you can also look at people that actually muled it over and traded with people internationally.
Right.
What percentage of those people are really going to buy the upgrade kit? And then you got to do the math on that, and it's probably, we'll call it 200 people max that would buy the upgrade kit. So going to a printer and printing 200 copies of an upgrade kit is not really feasible. It's just not. I mean, it's a lot of time to focus a lot of energy in doing that, but the payback is not there, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So that
Um,
that kind of gives folks the reason why these things do or
yeah.
do not happen. Yeah.
So yeah, and so with that learning that I mean, so and then Spielworks, fortunately, they're like, okay, Uli was like, I'll do the upgrade kit. You know, this is since Spielworks was the original, and we're upgrading it to
Speaking about
yours.
Arkwright explicitly, right?
Yeah, I will, offer the upgrade kit because I feel obligated. It's under my brand, whatever. And that was great. I mean, Uli and I, we get along so well. That man is awesome. He's a great person. But with taking that information and applying it to future projects, like Lignum, for example, where
Hmm.
we just completely changed everything in that game, from the artwork to the components. We have a double-sided board now. Um, the base rules in Lignum, there's 3 different sets of rules. In our version, it's one version, and it's everything that it was intended to be. And then if you want to play the expansion, you just flip the board over, and you've got the little flyer sheet that explains what's going on in the expansion. But
Yep. No, that did a much better job. That was my biggest complaint about Lignum was really how do I follow? Oh, I have to read all 3 rule books if I'm playing the expert
yeah,
version.
you're pulling
Really?
out all this like pieces of paper, and you're just like, oh, it's in this book. Now I need to, I got to reference this one now, and it's just like, come on, that's not the way it's supposed to be.
You're
But
right. Totally.
the reason, and so we design it, not design it. I'm not going to take credit for the design, but we create this new edition that is so enhanced over the original that there's no feasible way to even do an upgrade kit. I mean, if you did an upgrade kit, you're talking $40, $50, and at that
Right.
point, it's like just get the new edition. So, and we did the same thing with the Ruhr, which is the reprint of Ruhr,
Right.
and adding the double-sided game board for the Ohio River. And um,
Totally a vanity project, was it not? No, I'm just messing, Clay. I'm just
yeah,
because
no,
I
it
mean
was.
you're an
I
Ohio
will be.
native, so
I'm going to be honest with you. So, I went to Cincinnati for school, and that's along the Ohio River for the people that don't know the geography. But you see this river, and you see barges go across all day long with big, huge coal boats and stuff like that. They have old steamboats from back in the day. They're not powered like they were, like with the wheel and all that. The paddle wheel will move, but it's not powered by the paddle wheel in the back.
right.
And you can go on like a 2 hour lunch on one of these old steamboats up and down the Ohio River. Um, but the history is still there, and that was a big part of my childhood, just going down there on the river and to the Reds games and stuff like that. Which, by the way, I hope that hat is a Reds hat.
Oh, you know it is.
It's back. You're pointing to the MLB sign. Let me see this. Yes, I like it, man.
This makes for awesome podcast listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, check out the Cincinnati Reds. Okay, but I wanted it, and because there was coal being shipped up and down the Ohio River, I approached Thomas Spitzer and was like, "Look, the Ruhr's great. That's a great game in itself. Let's add some more content to this game and get people that live in the United States something to relate to." And that's why we talked about doing the Ohio River.
All
So,
right. So on that note, so let's talk Rochefort. So obviously Rochefort was the original. It was originally the first game of a 3-game trilogy from Thomas Spitzer.
mhm.
Excuse me. But you decided to, well, first off, how did you go about getting the rights to that?
um, I played Well, okay, so I played Coal and Colony a while ago, and then I played Haspel Connect from the Carson City Big Box Kickstarter.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this guy, Thomas Spitzer, you can see something special in this guy. Nobody designs a game like he does. He's a unique guy. Um,
Yep, I agree.
and it's just, when you play a game by him, after those 2 different games, you know that his design philosophy is unique and it's something special. So that was through Quintet, obviously. And so I approached Arno. I approached Uli because there's like
So Arno of Quinta Games and Uli of Spielworks. Okay.
correct, yeah. So they have, I mean, they're because Thomas is split up between those two, and going into the deep part of it, basically it all routed through Thomas. The rights were all with him on the first 2 games. So we had a good conversation, hit it off pretty well, and told him what I was interested in doing, and he was very, very ecstatic about it. And it's been a great relationship ever since.
And so now you decided to release them in a different order in which they originally released. Why was that?
This is a project of mine, and I've learned a lot in the last. So Capstone started in 2015, in August, and I've learned a ton about this industry in that time. I mean, you just getting to conventions is where you learn a lot. But when I was at it was at Gen Con, we had Arkwright. We had a little 10 by 10 booth last year, and we still got shafted with another 10 by 10 booth. I'm so disappointed. I hope we just blow it out of the water, and we just get complaints by the Gen Con staff. You guys have too many people on your booth. Sorry. I'm hoping that
I tried
happens.
to get a bigger one, but you
Yeah,
wouldn't let me.
I know. But anyway, we had Arkwright set up on this big main table, like right when you come up to the booth. It's the first thing you see, and you look at the game board, and yes, it looks like an Excel spreadsheet, whatever.
I
And that's
I like the way it looks. I know I'm one
it's
of
the
the
most
oddballs.
it's the most I like the way it looks too. I mean, how else can you look at that board and get everything you need to know about the game in a blink of an eye? You
I
know everything that's going on.
I mean, I feel like both you and I are going to be a little bit biased here. I mean, you did republish it, and we did give it the 2013 Golden Elephant Award,
Yeah.
so obviously we both are in love with the game, but I there's something about the aesthetic of it with the muted colors and everything else that just it just works. It just works,
Yeah.
and it's clear.
Harold Leask is the illustrator, and he does a really good job at doing that in games. But what I learned is people were turned off by that. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this looks way too intimidating. I don't want to feel number one, I don't want to feel stupid if I'm trying to play this game and I don't understand how to play it. And number two, it just looks like not fun to some people."
Wow.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
and that's a perfect example of why we try and not use the word fun on the podcast very much, because your fun and my fun are going to be different than those people who said those things about Arkwright, right?
yeah, exactly. Some people walk by and they're like, "Wow, that's got a lot of wooden pieces. It's really beautiful," but it just looks really overly complicated, and I'm just a little intimidated by trying that. And then we had Haspel Connect, one of the production copies, in the booth, and we every single time somebody said one of those three things, you could just see their head turn to this colorful board of like the forest land and the tech tree of Haspel Connect, and they're like, "What is that over there?" And then like they would just flow into that, and it's like, all right, this is an easier game. So the Coal Trilogy, the way we're republishing it is to step through and get people more acclimated with a more complex game. Haspel Connect is the easiest of the three. Rusha
Or
Fart's going
the
to.
lightest, I think is a good way to
I
put
don't
it.
mean
Yeah.
easiest like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
good with
yeah.
that.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
It's the lightest of the three by far. Rusha Fart takes it a step up a little bit, to more of a Puerto Rico level, in my opinion. And then Coal and Colony is lots and lots going on in that game. A lot of interlocking mechanics and stuff. And this is a way for people to follow one theme, one set of games, and also go through history. Because in Haspel Connect, you're starting at the discovery of this valuable resource of coal, and then in Rushafart or the Ruhr, coal is now so prominent that industries need it, factories need it, cities need it, people want it in other countries, so you can export it to them. So you're delivering the coal to these different market channels. And then Coal and Colony, which is going to be a little bit more complex, is all about the consolidation of the industry and how these mines, all these independent mines, were just kind of consolidated into the bigger buying groups out there, and a nice progression through time. And it also gives the people that it lowers the barrier to entry for people to try a more complex game, is what we're trying to do.
Which obviously both me and Amanda, having the show that we do, appreciate that. But also, I would think that just folks that enjoy heavier games out there will appreciate that more and more, for the simple fact that you're trying to groom more gamers to enjoy these heavier games, which means more people for those of us out there that enjoy these games to play with. So it's a win-win, right?
And that is 100% true. Um, I've seen reports, articles out there. People are wanting more and more out of their games, and this is the way to do it. So
Well, that makes me happy to hear, obviously. So what helps you helps us. What helps us helps you. So everyone drives home in a Cadillac. All right.
cheers.
So let's go on. Now, you mentioned how you went about selecting the Coal Trilogy with Thomas Spitzer, going through him and the whole 9 yards, having played those games. But
Hmm.
in general, how do you go about selecting what it is that you're wanting to republish, reprint, fill in the right word again? What is it that grabs you about or what is it that needs to grab you
About the
with these
games.
games? Yeah.
So we've been obviously pitched a lot of games, and some people don't even know what Capstone is and the brand behind it. And it's just like, come on, man, I'm not looking for a 5 to 10 minute card game here. Um, I'm looking for, it's, and then you've got people who do have something a little bit meatier, and it just doesn't really fit well. But you've played Pipeline from Ryan Courtney.
I have.
That's a game we're going to be doing in 2018.
Oh, hey, so it
Yes.
is official now.
Yes,
Yay.
we made the deal at Origins,
All
and
right. Congratulations to both sides then. All right.
that's going to be an amazing game.
So that's going to be your first you know, new game then.
Yeah, first brand new full box, never seen the light of day, cradle to the grave game.
All right. So before we get into Pipeline then, but up into that game, how do
Hmm.
you choose the games you want to reprint? Is it just games you really dig, or
Yeah, I gotta
or
dig
is
it.
it? I mean, going into
Obviously, I
our
got.
back catalog. I mean, seriously, I'm very curious as to that.
Okay. So the games we printed, I kind of like to think. So Spielworks, I don't know. I'm trying to like make it. I'm trying to do an analogy, and I'm not really good at doing that. But like with
Stop.
Spielworks, um, when they make a game and they print it, you don't. I mean, it's going to be a unique game. They're not all the same.
True.
Some publishers have the same feel to them. I don't want to mention any of them, but it's going to have some unique things. The rules overhead might be a little over the top, but um, they have the same feel. And with Spielworks, it's a little different. Wow, this game's I didn't even see this coming or whatever. So like with Three Kingdoms Redux, Lignum, Arkwright, those are all kind of different games. I mean, but how we pick them, it's just you got to play them, and if they have those if it fits the 9 layer cake model, I don't know, that might be a thing now. If it has those layers, man, I'm gonna be very,
Yeah,
very interested.
but at the same time, not. I mean, there are a plethora of heavy games out there that have that. Although some are going to grab you more than others. So, what is it that it just is it just literally is it something as simple as whether it's you or the team with you that you're like, dude, this has got to be the one. This, yes, can you feel this?
Okay, I get where you're going with this.
You
All
know
right,
what I'm
so
saying? So what is it that grabs specifically that says, okay,
yeah,
this is a game I got to pick up?
so you're true. Yeah, there are games out there. There's a lot that I'm like, well, this is really good. Like Iki. It's more of a medium weight, like a Trois, but I really like that game a lot. But does it fit the brand? And is the market going to react to it the same? I mean, is it going to have? Okay, maybe I need to rephrase that. Is the market going to react to it differently than my opinion? Because I have a vested interest in the game. I'm on cloud nine with this game. Like it's so good, but I
Right.
got to remove myself from that and look at it from the market's perspective. Are people out there going to see it the same way that I see it and appreciate that? So there's some perceptions that I have to look at and just get an understanding of like, is this a feasible game for everybody out there? Um, it's just a matter of will it be a hit? I mean, you can't predict the future, right?
Sure. Well,
So you got
oh,
to have a very strong inkling that this is gonna do well in there. And there's certain mechanics in a game that I look for that give a rewarding experience that kind of beat you down a little bit, like an Arkwright, Lignum. You always run out of money,
right.
um, but then after a few rounds and you do some good moves, it clicks and you get a little bit of a reward, and then it just clicks a little bit more, and then you get a bigger reward. And it just by the end of the game, if you're playing right, you'll just get this gratification of, man, I did a good job in that, even if you lost. But
Okay.
um, that just things like that I look for. I have to remove myself from my own personal perspective and try to see it from other people's perspectives if this will be good fit for the market.
All right. So on that note, and this is probably the question that I am most curious about asking Clay, the publisher, about, is you had just mentioned that obviously you need to make money off of this, or at least not take a bath, meaning not lose money on these games.
Yeah.
So the ultimate question then to me is, how do you decide a print run size?
Okay. So for print run size, that is a huge factor.
Because before you get started, because you have different philosophies out there. I mean, since you're bringing up Spielworks, Uli has said it's 1,000 copies. The end. That's what he makes. The end. That is the exception to the rule. I feel like that people have it. Most companies do not have a hard, fast print run size. So with that said, please continue.
Yeah. So print run size tells a lot about a company and how they operate. That number, you can peel it back and look at, okay, they're not going to have a lot of inventory costs. They're not going to have a lot of fulfillment issues. It just tells you a lot about the company. Whereas Mayfair, when they print 10,000 copies of whatever game, they have that brand built behind them to be able to support that.
Right.
You guys know we print really good games. Arkwright, Three Kingdoms Redux.
We think so.
It's all been at least nominated for your award, and just because it's a phenomenal game like that doesn't mean that it's going to sell as well as a Mayfair. Like if Mayfair printed Lignum, I guarantee you that would be like the Barren Park of Origins or whatever. Like everybody would have been like, oh my gosh, gotta go check out Lignum because Mayfair printed it. They have that brand recognition.
Okay.
For a company like myself, I can't put 10,000 copies out there. They would never sell.
Right.
Unless it's like, hey, this is like once in a blue moon shot, all the stars aligned, everything went perfectly, and marketing just got out there to a point of mass interest.
Okay.
Chances of that happening are 1% or less. And so as a young company, you have two options. Do you use your capital to print a game and drive up hype yourself, or do you rely on Kickstarter, which is in of itself a huge working mechanism that I'm just looking at and saying, no, thank you. I don't want anything.
That's the next question. So stay focused. Keep going. Okay.
Yeah. So for Capstone, we're 2 years into it. It's going to take a couple years for the brand to get built and people to understand what it's meaning and what type of quality we have behind our name. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right.
So and it's so fun when you go to conventions. I just remember Origins last year. Nobody really knew Capstone. They heard about Arkwright from you guys. That was the biggest draw. Like, oh yeah, Heavy Cardboard talks about this game all the time. Is it good? I gotta play it. We'd play it and they love it and it was awesome. That was about the extent, and a couple stragglers would walk by. And then every convention since, it's been like, oh man, Capstone, you guys are doing so good. You got all these new games coming out. There's still people that are like, I don't know what Capstone is. What is this? And so it's that slow progression of getting the name out there in the public eye. Until then, we're still going to be on a limited print run basis.
But how do you determine, okay, a little bit more for this, a little bit less? Like, I'm not asking for specific numbers here or anything, but how do you gauge
We're doing
that?
a standard. I figured out the right number for our company.
Okay.
And that's the standard print run size. And every time it's going to be that until we hit a home run. And I feel like that's going to come soon. And people can get mad at me all they want, but it's something that we're not going to put 10,000 copies out there and just take a gamble at it. That's not a strong business. That is the dumbest business move you could do.
Right. I don't think the missus would be super thrilled with that.
Oh, I know. So like if this game does hit it out of the park and there's a shortage of it temporarily in between print runs, people are going, man, why can't I get this game? Well, it's because our brand wasn't as big as what it could have been. So we're printing these games. They're great. I'm glad you guys finally found out about it, but now you know. So that's until that happens, we're going to be in this in the print run size that we're currently running with, and it's doing great. I mean, we are doing great. It's Origins last 2 weeks ago, was the best convention I've had in my life.
Oh, that's great to
It
hear.
was amazing. So I'm
All
looking
right.
forward to the
So,
future.
okay, not to belabor the point, but one last kind of tangent on that is, what are some of the factors then that go into a publisher's thought process, or at least, and I don't want you to make broad generalizations on how other publishers do this, but what are some of the thought processes that go into, or things that you use to come up with this magic number, whatever that number may be?
The print run size number, how do I come up with that?
Yeah, like what are just some of the things that go
Okay.
into determining that? Like, I mean,
Okay.
because the whole point of having folks like yourself on this is to kind of pull back the veil a little bit to
Yeah.
let folks know, hey, this is kind of why. And this way, if they're like, people are out there like, oh man, it's only, there aren't enough games. Well, this is
This is
why.
why. Okay, so as a small company, it's just me. I do have help from friends, my cousin. Um, People help out, and I do want to have a bigger company in the future. I really do. I love doing this, but you got to look at costs of printing the game. Um, if you exceed a certain amount of pallets for when the game's done and in fact and packaged up at the factory, you're going to incur more or ocean containers, and that's pretty expensive when you start talking multiple containers. So your shipping costs go up. Then you get the game in. Then you got to have the tools to unload it at your warehouse, um, and that's space. That's physical space that
That
you
you
have
have to
to,
rent, right?
yes, rent out. I'm not there yet to where I have my own building, but um, that's physical space and it's taking up space. And if the game is not selling, every month you're paying this rent on space for this game. And so, and as well, if you have to take loans out to make a printing, you're also paying interest monthly on those games on top of the actual uh, storage location. So
Okay.
a lot of factors have to go into it, and it's like you want the game to last, but you don't want it to last too long. You don't want it to sell out immediately, because then you're like, okay, well now I
Well,
don't know
I
what to
should have
do. Like,
printed more, right? And
yeah,
now
how
there's,
much do I print? Like, I don't even know. I mean, that just sold out
right.
quick. Do I print the same? Do I print do I go nuts and do 10,000 copies? And
And then there's that delay in between print runs that you have to
yeah,
deal with, right? Where, oh,
yeah,
did I lose the buzz, right?
exactly. So there's a lot of those factors, and so I feel like I've narrowed it down to a good number. It's not perfect. It's not
Is it,
there's no.
is there some trial and error then that comes into this? I mean, truly.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do a game that you thought was gonna be amazing, and people aren't gonna want to buy it. We haven't had that yet, but um, the number that we've hit has been pretty consistent since the beginning, and
Okay.
we've been just doing that, and it's been really good. So I feel kind of lucky on that. So
Well, is it,
good.
and this isn't, blowing smoke, but is it a mix of luck and, business acumen and making the smart calculated risks, or is it just, whew, got lucky?
Luck is a major factor. You wouldn't think about it, but it is. Um, you could call it luck, but that's definitely a variable in it. And also, you got to have some kind of business acumen, because I get ideas pitched to me from people, and it's like, oh my gosh, man, I can't. I don't even want to waste my breath to explain why we're not going to do that. So um, there's some of that. So it's a little bit of both.
Okay. All right. So let's circle back. You are a new-ish publisher, right? You're only a few years under your belt here now.
Yeah.
Why not Kickstarter? Because it seems to me being not media side, I'm saying just general public side, Kickstarter removes a lot of the risk. So
Yeah,
why do
it
you
does.
why do you scoff or just elect not to go that route?
Sometimes, okay, there's a couple factors. One of the small ones is I don't like to wait around. I just want to do it because I like this game a lot. I want it out there. But that's not really an excuse. Kickstarter, they take a cut. I think it's 5%, and that hurts. Then you have to have somebody run it. I don't know how to run Kickstarter effectively. There's a whole strategy to it, and it's completely different than doing what I'm currently doing. It's not the same
Traditional
strategy.
publishing. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
the marketing strategy for Kickstarter is completely different. Jamie Stegmaier he is the law for
Yeah, he is the
Kickstarter.
master of
Yeah.
Kickstarter. I agree with that. Yes.
Simon, I don't know if it's the minis that's doing it, but I mean, I don't know how they made $5 million on that new. I don't know. I just saw a tweet from Brandon from Brawling Brothers, and it's like $5 million for an expansion. I think it's an expansion, but it's like, oh my gosh, man.
Oh.
So yeah, don't get me wrong. I look at Kickstarter and I'm like, Brass made $1 million.
Yep.
Gosh, what if I did that with Wildcatters? And we had some sweet upgrades like wooden boats and wooden drilling rigs.
Right.
Then linen finished cards and a cool game, all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, I could do that, but I don't have the resources, and I just feel like it's not risky to do it because you get the money up front, but I feel like I don't have the right understanding of Kickstarter to fully do it, especially serving the European market and the Asian markets with shipping and all that. And a lot of people I feel like get on there and they're really dissatisfied with how the Kickstarters run. If you look through the comments section, it's like, there's a lot that you guys aren't seeing right now from my perspective. And if you saw it, you would not write that comment in there. So
yeah, they're well, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do here is, like I said, to try and give people that behind the scenes look, so maybe they can be, have a little bit better understanding of where things are.
Well, look at this. Okay, so Stephen Bonacore from Stronghold Games, he does a really good job with his company, and he did the miniatures one he did on Kickstarter, Space Attack. It was a big box game with miniatures, and
I got nothing for you.
Okay,
sorry.
He did a Kickstarter a couple years ago, and I think he said he would never do it again. And that's also a science. Like, I mean, that tells you a lot about what Kickstarter is like. It's a completely different avenue of going about creating a game for people.
So it's not so much that you thumb your nose at it. It's just it's not a skill set that you feel comfortable with right now.
Yeah, I have no comfort in Kickstarter, and it's not a tool I want to use because I trust Capstone is going in the right direction. It has a healthy heartbeat. It's growing, and you can see it at the conventions. Kickstarter also cuts out the retailer big time, and it cuts out distribution big time, and that pisses both parties off because they don't want to partner with you because most of the demand has been served when you do a Kickstarter that sells 20,000 copies. You're really pissing off a lot of people, and even though there's you can do the retailer thing and pull pre-orders in through that way, but you're still doing that. So yeah, it's not an avenue I'm interested in doing. Once Capstone gets healthy enough, there would be no reason at all to do a Kickstarter. So okay. Plus, and one other thing is the stretch goals I'm not a fan of. All right, like if you're gonna print a game, put your best foot forward and put it out there the way you want it to be. And the other thing I hate about it is when they add like we're gonna include this bonus card or these bonus card sets, and it's like, that has never been play tested. Is that gonna unbalance the game? I mean, is that really needed at this point? So that's my 2 cents on it. A lot of people disagree with me, but hey, it's an opinion.
No, and I appreciate it. No, I have wondered privately why you wouldn't go the more risk-free direction of Kickstarter, yeah. But also there are people that fall on both sides of that, right? Like scoff
it's not
at Kickstarter.
Risk-free. It's not risk-free.
Let me rephrase
Look at the guy, the Glory to Rome guy went bankrupt.
Fair enough. I shouldn't say risk-free. Well,
yeah. It's advertised as risk-free, but it is not risk-free.
Fair enough. I misspoke. Fair enough. All right. So let's switch it up a little here. All right. So now that you've got a number of games under your belt or under your publisher's belt, how do you feel you've grown as a publisher?
Like I said, every day, every week, especially every convention, you learn there's so much information, just so much communication, reading people, just having a conversation with your customers, your end customers, the guys and girls that are going to retail stores to pick up your game, hearing what makes them interested in the game and just understanding their thought process is so valuable. You can just, I mean, this the amount, I mean, I'm trying to take all this information that's thrown at me and putting it into like a little bottle and just like this is my permanent memory of, how to do this now and like enhance my company in the future. So it's it's a learning process. It is a huge learning process, and it takes a lot of time, but it's totally worth it.
All right. Well, on that note, how long until Capstone becomes your full-time gig? I mean, that is, if you even want it to be.
No, I do. I wake up every day and it's like, oh, I gotta do my day job now. I want to be because my emails are coming in. It's just I get it. Like when I was at Origins, I'm still backlogged from Origins. It's just ridiculous. I'm to the point in my life with Capstone where I have to make a decision. Do I do Capstone or do I do my day job? And going back to the very beginning when I was like, I'm of the belief that you should try something, even though if it's risky, just do it. You'll live. You're not going to die.
Better to be 70 years old without regrets than to wonder the what if.
Yes, exactly.
I'm living it. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So, especially when Wildcatters and the Climbers comes in, I've got all these other games that are out in the pipe, out in the public, and people are still emailing for some stuff on that. It's just this amount of work it's there. It's full time. You can't escape it. I need help, and I'm gonna have to probably walk away from my day job probably around Essen time frame.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's terrifying. It's all those
scary.
things.
It's
yeah.
scary. Yes.
At least,
but
in my case, I only have a wife and a greyhound in a house. You have a wife and two kids in a house. Yes. So, dude, that's exciting. I'm excited for you. All right. So okay. I seem to be, and by I mean me and Amanda, seem to be two of the only people in this hobby at all that have zero interest in designing games. Do you?
In designing a game, I don't know. I have ideas. Things will come in my mind, and it's just a high level. This would be a cool thing to see in a game. But as far as digging down to the micro level, it's not something that I can do. I just don't have that. I don't have the patience, honestly, to reiterate the smallest. Like, okay, I'm going to change this card. Instead of giving you $1, this card's now going to give you $3. Let's play 5 games and see what the differences are. That's not for me.
Okay. All right. All right, so switching gears back into Capstone stuff then. European presence. How does any future partnerships or anything like that getting Capstone easier overseas? How any plans for that?
Like getting our product overseas and available, excuse me, in the European market?
Yes.
Yeah, so we actually this year just partnered with Spiel Direct. That's a German warehousing company, R&R Games, Bezier Games, a lot of big publishers in the United States that don't have that physical presence in the European markets are partnered with this. I forget the right word for it. It's just like a partnership. I own part of this company is essentially what it is. And it's a big warehouse in Ludofact, which is a warehousing unit. And so retailers across the European Union can order directly from Spiel Direct my game, and it'll be shipped to them. I don't even have to do anything. Like Ludopact will pack it up, ship it off to them, process the transaction, and deposit it into my account.
Nice.
Obviously, there's some fees for that, but
I imagine
having that capability to be able to service retailers out there is going to help Capstone grow in the international markets. It's also going to build the brand up, and a lot of people have asked, I can't find your games in Europe. We do have partnerships with ADC Blackfire for distribution, as DVM Games in the UK, and Enigma is in Denmark, I believe. We just started that one. So It's growing, and it's not something that you just turn the lights on and boom, my games are everywhere. It's going to take some time to build relationships because distributors, believe it or not, they want to make money, and they're not going
Weird.
to pull on. Here's the thing with distributors. So you got some companies that are like smaller companies like myself. Distributors don't want to deal with small companies
Why is
because
that?
they're dealing with like Simon, Mayfair, Z-Man Games, Asmodee, which is the same thing now, but
Right,
whatever.
the big names. I got you.
The big
Right,
names.
the guys who are
I'm gonna
making a lot of product, right?
I'm gonna send you a purchase order for I don't know, 600 copies of Seven Wonders. Give me 3,000 copies of Spot It, some Dixit. Throw that, and it's just this big laundry list of a purchase order.
Okay.
Now I gotta go worry about Capstone Games, and let me get let me just get Arkwright, and it's like 60 copies or whatever, just for for this month. I need 60 copies, and it's like, why waste my time with a 60 copy order when I could be focusing on this order that's comprised of thousands of copies?
Okay.
It's just too much manpower for them to handle, especially when you've got more than one Capstone Games coming at them, like all these other smaller publishers.
Okay.
Um, so that's part of the holdback in getting Capstone in the international markets is because these we don't have the product portfolio to support multiple titles for a distributor to want to stock not more than just one unit. They want to stock a lot. So
Okay. Well,
uh,
again, I mean, that's answering the whole question of the why, right? Which is what people
yeah,
want, or at least I figure if I have these questions, other people have got to wonder the same stuff, right? So
yeah.
I appreciate you being, direct and honest about this stuff, and also letting folks know the why as to, because I feel like people are a lot more understanding if they understand the why.
Yeah, there's a it was very nerve-wracking getting started because honestly, with Arkwright, we had when it first started, I had the five major distributors in the United States, but not a lot of presence around the world, and that's slowly been building up because now people recognize the brand. Our portfolio has grown, so we've got more titles for them to offer to these distributors, and so yeah, it's just like I said, it's taking time to build this thing, and it's every day, every week, I see it growing and growing and growing. So
I can
we'll
relate.
get there, man.
Yep, totally get that. All right, so speaking of growing the brand, Simply Complex. You want to talk about that?
Yes. So Simply Complex is similar to Capstone. I didn't want to release it under the Climbers, for example, is coming. That's the first title. I didn't want to release that under the Capstone Games brand because I don't want to dilute that brand into like, okay, well, now what is Capstone again? I don't get it. You know, Capstone is still going to be that big box heavy game.
Okay.
Um, Simply Complex is in the same vein. It's complex, but the rule set's light. It's more or less got a beautiful table presence with a bunch of wooden pieces. I like that a lot. I'm not a fan of plastic. Um, the rule set and the time to play the game is less than an hour. Some people are turned off by the heavier games. I don't have 4 hours to spend to play Arkwright. Well, maybe once every 6 months, but that's a thing we hear a lot. Some people have more time and they can play it every week or every month or whatever. That's great. But this is a way to hit more people and offer them a product that shares the same taste that I have and the same quality of design. And that's what Simply Complex is all about.
And the first two titles that I'm aware of are The Climbers coming out later on this year, and next year, the one that I am super, super stoked about. Not that I'm not about The Climbers, but also it
Neue
is
Heimat,
Neue
baby.
Heimat. Yes.
Ah, that game is so good. I had one of the best gaming experiences. Like Joe Wiggins and I were playing with Damon and my buddy DJ, and it was just I stood up at the end of that game. Like I won by like $2 in that game, and that just was a moment I just stood up. I was just like, yes, dude. It was just like it was so intense, man. That whole game is just an intense bidding. Like you're just trying not to show your poker face, and it's
My favorite thing
oh,
about that is the only game I know where I can finish in the negative in money and still end up winning the game because I
yeah,
crushed y'all even more so. So, I mean, there's a reason it's thought of as the most brutal auction game. You talk about emergent alliances that last about 12 seconds. It's
oh
fantastic.
yeah.
So
It's
okay, so on that note, if you're willing, if I'm touching on something that you're not at liberty to discuss or don't want to, please don't hesitate to say no. But I know that there was a clamoring, at least on our side, again, our side being the gamer side, for those two titles specifically to get reprinted. How'd you get them?
Nori Hyman and the Climbers?
Yeah.
Starts with the conversation, baby.
Okay.
I had to do some digging, especially for the Climbers. That took a while. That took a long time, but that was a long, arduous process. I'm very glad I went to Essen. It would never have happened if I didn't go to Essen last year. But you met the right people, had the right conversations, showed them what you're going to do with it, and just give them the confidence and trust. And that's hard to do, especially. Here's the thing. It's very hard to do, especially with Holger Lons, the designer for the Climbers. Oh my gosh, man. Every time I email this guy, he responds with "Make America Great Again." Or no, he says "Make the Climbers Great Again."
No pressure.
Everybody in Europe is, I feel like, because Donald Trump's president and I'm emailing these people, these designers and publishers in Europe, I feel like they view me as a mini Donald Trump. And it's like, we're not the same.
I am not looking
dude. Yeah.
I am not looking forward to going to Essen for that one reason right there. Oh, that's gonna be a handful.
It's embarrassing though. It's so embarrassing. And I was
talking
on
to my wife
about
Clay. Stay on target.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's where were we even going?
How did you end up getting these two titles? And showing the designer every time you emailed them and improving yourself to them.
Yeah, you have to have the conversations and just give them the vision that you have for his game, what you want to do with it. If it lines up with what they're wanting, if they like what you're doing with it, then they're more than willing to give it to you, because it's not in print right now and they're not making any money. So hey, this guy's showing me.
Hold on, when you say give it to them, you mean license it, not give it.
Yeah, correct. They're not giving up.
Well, again, I mean, I know this, but I mean, just to clarify for the folks listening at home, right?
Yeah. So it's a license. I'm not taking the rights from the designer. That might happen in the future for certain printings. Just depends. But for the Climbers, I didn't take the license, or I didn't take the rights. It's just a license. So every game we sell, a certain percentage will be kicked back to the designer.
Cool.
That's what that is.
All right.
And again, that's a factor in the cost of the game and how much the MSRP is, along with shipping, production, artwork, rulebook, all that stuff. So.
Okay. So while we're on the topic of Simply Complex, do you have any details then on the Climber specifics yet?
Yeah. So the box is beautiful. I was very, very nervous about the thickness of the box to be able to contain, in a succinct manner, those blocks, because a lot of vibration and shipping. Just people, pulling it in and out of their bag, off their shelf, is it going to split the seams on the side? But this box is really thick. I'm so glad I'm just very, very happy about that. But the colors we took from the original printing pop a lot better. It just has a beautiful table presence. And I took it to Origins to get that, to kind of gauge the demand for this game. I wanted to see what people thought about it. We had like 5-year-olds coming up playing this game, and all the way up to, just regular adults. Just everybody was coming up to this game. It just has that table presence. The little mini ladders just kill everybody. It's like, this is so cool. You got a mini ladder. Like, yeah, it's just stuff like that.
All right. I meant details as far as availability, cost, stuff like that.
Oh, you didn't want to hear that?
No, I was there at Origins. I know how popular it was. No, it was great to see. I think I've made the argument in the past that there are super few games that I feel that everybody should own. Like some people say Ticket to Ride, Catan, whatever, stuff like this. I disagree on those. However, the Climbers, and I said this far before Capstone games existed, that I feel like that's the one game that truly runs the gamut across this hobby, because anybody can pick it up in 2 minutes, yet it's as heavy as you want to make it.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, that is so true. And that is the brand. That is the Simply Complex line. Exactly what you just said. So,
all right.
But for details, yeah. Like trademark heavy cardboard. The the production's scheduled to be done. What does it say on the calendar? It's July 26th is when it's supposed to be completely done, being printed at the factory. So then they have to palletize it and everything. But I want to make a big pallet and have it air freighted to Gen Con, which is just enough time. You know, you got 2 week window there to get the games in, and that way, because I live in Dayton, so I can just drive it over to Indianapolis, which is very convenient. So
Cool. So Gen Con people will be able to purchase
yes,
copies. That's cool. Good deal.
yes, it's gonna have. I mean, we're just having one pallet. That's it. I can't do anything else about that. It'll be on a boat by the time we're in Gen Con. So, we'll see.
All right, cool. Do you have a price point yet for that?
It's gonna be a $50 price tag.
Okay, cool. That's MSRP.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Very cool.
So,
All right. And I know Neue Heimat is going to be somewhere around mid next year, yeah, but a little early on that still.
yeah. So, my calendar for 2017 is completely booked.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, Wildcatters is the last game, and that's beginning production right now. We I've got an idea of what I'm doing next year, and it's honestly really going to depend upon how the rest of this year. I mean, we just started convention season, so all my games are being manufactured or shipped to me right now, and it just depends on how well received they are. That's going to really determine what we can do next year. And I've got certain things I want to do. I'd love to do them all and more, but it really just depends on the reception of this year.
All right. Okay. Well, then switching away from Simply Complex and talking about the other big games that are still coming from you. You got the Ruhr and you got Wildcatters. So,
Yes.
can you talk about the differences now on both of those? As far as keep it short, but
Yeah.
give
The-
folks a heads up. And
Yeah, so
now that we can talk about the Wildcatters, since I've been sitting ever since you and I played it with Rolf and Andre in their condo,
Yes. With
Wildcatters, the second edition, and had to
with
sit
some
on this
damn
news.
good beer, man. That was some good beer. I am salivating Essen right now. I cannot wait.
I can't wait to have the Schweinsachsel, but that's just me.
Oh yeah, and the raw pork.
Yes.
But okay. So the Ruhr, obviously, it's the Ruhr River. Some of the game board has changed. Some of the iconography on there, just because of playtesting and feedback since 2012 when it was released. And on the back we have the Ohio, which is, I like to think of it as you have Brass and Brass Lancashire. It's kind of the same thing. It's a completely different game. So, but it's all in the same box, and there's a lot of game in that. I set it up the other night and took some pictures and stuff, and it's just like, that's a lot of game for one box, man. I should have probably done an expansion, but whatever. So
Good on you. So when's that coming? When is that going to be available?
That's actually on a boat right now, and it'll be here for Gen Con, and it'll release shortly after Gen Con.
All right. And Wildcatters, which I am personally super excited about.
Yes, that's going to be an Essen release, and
Okay.
My last convention this year is PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. I don't know the market for PAX yet. I'm waiting to see a little bit more about that in September, October timeframe to see what kind of games I'll bring. But I think based on the PAX demographics, it's more video game oriented. So I think climbers will do really well there. Not sure about a heavy game, but time will tell, and I'll kind of discover what that will look like.
Because I know a lot of people are asking in the chat, and they're going to ask. So here, let's just clarify this, and then we'll move on. Pre-orders for the climbers, the Ruhr, Wildcatters, etc. How does that going to work?
So pre-order fulfillment is a time suck. It just, like with what did we do before? Three Kingdoms Redux and the Ruhr Valley, the Haspel Connect expansion. Oh my God. I mean, it was great. I love getting pre-orders. I'm not trying to say negative things about it. It's just there's a lot of time involvement in that because, again, this is me running my company. I'm not having somebody fulfill these orders. This is me hand packing them for you. So
I saw the little love note you sent us at HeavyCon, so I can attest to that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I pack a game, it's me. Sometimes my wife will help. I'm looking at getting additional help for my brothers and stuff, offering them, hey, Miller Lite guys, I know you love it. I'll buy you a case if you help me pack these up. But So pre-orders, I'll probably, I don't know yet. For Lignum, we're doing them right now, and we've got a lot of those too. So I'm gonna have to do those tonight. They
Well, I
keep rolling in,
appreciate you.
man. They just keep rolling in. It's great. I love it, but it's a lot of work because then you gotta. I'm trying to focus on 2018 right now. I want to get some of the design and the artwork done for 2018. So
So
it's just a
again,
matter of allocating time.
okay. So getting back to the herding cats. So we'll start with the climbers. So you said it's going to be available at Gen Con. That's what, 6-7 weeks. Oh God, it's only 6 or 7 weeks away. Pre-orders. Are you
Can't
going to
wait.
do anything like that, or is it going to be strictly just first come first serve?
No, it's just first come first serve.
Okay. All right. But after that,
It's too a logistical nightmare to do that. I mean, can I? What's your name? And you got to look at this list of like hundreds of people, and it's like, you're not on the list. I was. I emailed you. Da 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 da. So I don't want that. No.
okay.
No.
All right. So stay tuned. I guess capstonegames.com will
Yes, it'll
give
be
you
on
all
there.
the answers you need on that. All right. So moving on. All right. So on a serious note, switching gears another time, do you think that the sheer number of titles that are coming out each year poses a problem for the health of the hobby, or do you see it as a positive?
The number of times. Oh, it's a positive in every way possible. I don't know why people look at it as a negative thing. This hobby has grown so much that people will come into this hobby through a certain game, and they're going to like certain things about the game, and they're not going to like certain things about the game. They're going to make a decision on where to go, for their own personal tastes
Right.
in relation to that. And it's just like, it's kind of like an iterative process where you're like, okay, I like this part. I'm going to try something that's similar to that, and it may be a little bit different. And then you kind of find your niche. You know, you might start with Catan and realize I like miniature games, and that's where you end up. So it just depends on, it's like going down a path and figuring out where your tastes are in line with, the game design. And so, because we've got heavy games, we've got light games, we've got party games, miniatures, war
Oh
games.
yeah, there's something for everybody out there. I agree.
Everything's out
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
so people will start. Um, I don't know what the right word is. People will start like picking a certain brand. Like I know Capstone has heavy games. I really like heavy games, so I'm gonna kind of, you know, I'm gonna play on their games more than, the other brands out there. Some people might like the Fantasy Flight stuff, and they're just gonna focus on whatever comes out from them. 90% of my cash flow in board gaming will go to Fantasy Flight,
Right.
something like that. So that's the way I see it, because there's so much for everybody, and this hobby's growing. Gen Con's gonna sell out. Who thought that was possible? So I mean,
Actually, it
it's
has
great.
already. But yeah, I
Oh,
actually
it's sold out?
I got the email the other day that it sold out. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I
insane.
see it as a positive because, well, I mean, there's something like you said, there's something for everybody, and if people want to, just they have a certain like and they don't want to branch out, cool, then that works
There's
for you. But if you do want to branch out, there's that availability for you for, I mean, everything under the sun, right?
Exactly. I mean, look at the number of books that are published every year. There's tons of them. I mean, they're
Right.
not the same cost as a board game, but you can't read all the books, you can't play all the games, you can't watch all the movies. I mean, there's something for everybody. It's amazing. This is a beautiful time for board gaming, and we should just embrace it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a big fan for sure. All right. So what advice, what like main advice would you give somebody that's considering getting into the board game publishing industry?
Publishing, patience is key. You have to have patience. You can't just expect to hit a home run and just, walk off in the sunset. It's a lot of hard work. You have to just really make sure if you're going to start publishing, you need to have a definition of what your brand is. If there's any confusion on what your brand is, you're done. People will just, I don't know what this brand is. Like, what am I buying? I don't know what type of game this is.
Okay.
So,
All right. Cool. All right. So a couple last things before I hit you with a new aspect of these conversations with Heavy Cardboard. So first and foremost, get Pipeline onto BGG. People are clamoring for that, so make sure that happens soon. I realize you're a one-man wrecking crew, but still,
yes.
make that happen. Number
Mm-hmm.
two,
Oh, D-Mocker.
Just, if you can make that happen. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have the second edition and I have the third edition, but I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that would love to get access to this game, Clay. Just saying.
I'm gonna just say something. I've never played that game.
That
I feel embarrassed.
Well, I would say we could change that at Gen Con, but I know better. There ain't gonna be enough time.
That's rough. Yeah.
But how about this? HeavyCon 2018. Since you're coming, we play that. Yes?
Yes.
All right.
Do it.
Good. All right. All right. So one last question. This is me just kind of having fun with this, but is there a Grail game of yours that you would love, or what is your Grail? Hey, I want rights to this game to be able to reprint. What is it?
Oh, I've never been asked that before. Like a reprinting?
Or I mean, a Grail game of a game that doesn't exist doesn't really make good for good conversation. So, yeah.
I don't have one, man. I don't know. Wildcatters was up there. That was up there. That felt really good to hit.
Okay.
A Grail game?
Yeah, for you. Like, is there like a Magic Realm, or is there, something that's out of print that you're like, dude, I would love to make this happen?
Oh man, I am drawn.
You are gonna fail
this
in this next aspect of this.
Oh, you know what? It would have been Twa. It would have been Twa because that was one of the games that brought me into like increasing the complexity. But I like Macau. And a lot of people don't, but I do.
I enjoy that. Amanda does. Yeah, there's a handful of felds that we definitely enjoy still. So okay, all right, I'll let you off the hook.
Okay.
All right.
I want to know though, because that's not the answer I would go with. I don't know.
All right. So for those that are listening live and after the fact on the podcast, I'm actually going to hound Clay about this and watch our Twitter feed, and I will make him give us an answer. Okay. All right. So we're going to try something new now. Trying out something I wanted to use you, my friend Clay, as the guinea pig for. So congrats. So everything that we do here at Heavy Cardboard is top 6 or, on a 1 to 6 scale or whatever, because of the fact that, 6 feels like a good number. 1 to 10 is too granular. 1 to 4 is too constricting. So 6. So a series of 6 fun yet thoughtful questions that have to be answered off the top of your head. Some of these are going to be pretty heavy. Some of these are going to be pretty heavy. Some of these are going to be less so. So are you ready, sir?
I apologize to everybody listening. I am so bad at on-the-spot stuff. All right. Let's do it, baby.
All right, here we go. Number 1, off the top of your head. Okay? First thing that comes to mind. And if you cuss, you cuss, so be it. Number 1, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?
Oh, if I didn't know how old would I be if I didn't know? I would say 32.
Okay. Oh. All right. Number 2, if you could master one skill that you don't have right now, what would it be? Any skill, whether it's physical.
The thing that just comes to my mind is woodworking.
Okay.
You see Jason Dinger on Twitter all the time. It's like, what is this guy? How does he do that?
Yeah, it is pretty impressive. His craftsmanship is stupid good, dude. I agree. All right. Number 3. If you could have dinner and conversation with any person in history, who would it be?
Arnold Palmer.
All right. Huh. You a big golf guy?
I love golf.
Okay.
Oh my God, I love golf.
All right. Cool. All right. Number 4. And this is probably the heaviest one. Okay. This is the next one. What are 3 things that you want more of right now? It could be physical things. It could be characteristics, ideas, whatever.
Oh, dude. Oh, my God. 3 things I want more of?
Yeah.
We'll keep it PG.
Okay, whiskey. No, go ahead. All right.
Hey, that's actually a damn good one. I want whiskey. I want to understand more about whiskey and just explore that more.
Okay.
What I want more of? I want more sleep because I don't have sleep right now. And I want more free time to actually enjoy playing a game, enjoying a nice cocktail while I'm playing it with friends and smoking a cigar. That's like those 3 things.
Okay.
Whiskey, cigars, and playing board games coupled together. That's it, man. That's paradise.
Cool. All right. Good enough. All right. What do you appreciate most? What one thing do you appreciate most in your friends?
Um, I appreciate honesty. If you're not an honest person and you're just kind of talking behind my back and stuff like that, that's not going to work out well for me.
Okay. All right. And last but not least, and this is not a softball, but what is your absolute dream job?
Oh my God, what I'm doing right now, like I said, every day I wake up, it's like I want to do Capstone. I want to do this. It's that fun, man. I work on it at night and it's hard to go to bed because I'm just having a good time doing it. And it's like 1 o'clock and it's like, my kid's gonna be up at 6 a.m. I'm screwed, but hey, I'm having a good time. So
All right. Bonus question. What one movie, because it's my list and I can do that. What one movie deserves a sequel that hasn't gotten one?
my gosh, man, you asked me a movie question. I haven't seen a movie in forever.
All right. I'll let you off the hook because you notice I don't have to answer these. So
No,
this
I
is
got
awesome.
one, dude.
Okay.
That has a sequel. I don't know. God damn it. Oh no, I got it. I got it. Cloverfield. That needs a sequel.
Well,
But it
didn't
kind
it
of did
get
have
10 Cloverfield?
it
It
did.
sort of
Yeah,
did.
but that wasn't the sequel I hoped for.
Okay, so a better sequel. All right, cool, easy enough. All right, so now the hard stuff is out of the way. Now let me look for any questions, viewers, that Amanda has messaged me on. Who was your biggest inspiration, and how did they shape you?
My biggest inspiration was my father. He graduated with just a high school diploma and now runs a company in Florida. And I think that's phenomenal in this day and age with the requirements for education. Just has a good head on his shoulders and has been an inspiration to me and
That's
how to succeed.
that's awesome, dude. Congrats. That's legitimately very cool. Good. All right. Jose asks, Clay, it seems that heavy games are getting more and more in demand. Do you think this is a cause or consequence of heavy cardboard and Capstone's recent success, or the other direction?
It's more than that. I think a big part of it is heavy cardboard. Just getting these games out there and showing people, hey, these are approachable. You know, it looks complex, but look, we're playing it, and here's how to play it. Boom, easy. But also, people want more out of their games. Like me, I just get tired of the same thing, like Splendor, all the time. It's the same thing. Yeah, there's some strategy there, but it's just rinse and repeat, same thing every single time. So
Okay.
that's my
Well,
opinion.
I appreciate the kind words, though. Thank you. Uh, let's see. Yorick asks, are you going to have any copies of Arkwright in at Spiel? Are you going to be bringing games? How does that work?
I've actually been hounded by distribution lately to reprint Arkwright, so I think we'll be doing that in 2018. I'm debating on when to do it, but I gotta assess where the demand is because a reprint can damage you in a bad way, and I need to really focus on the reprint and what size that's going to be.
All right. So this is just two dudes talking right now, you and me, right?
Yeah,
How
I might do
cool?
it.
Well, hold
Okay.
on. No. How cool is that, dude? That you reprinted it like your first game, and now there's been such a demand. You did such a good job with it that, yo, dog, I gotta do another reprint of my reprint. I mean,
Hey,
isn't
that
that
I
cool?
yeah, I didn't think about it that way. I'm more terrified of like I just got to hit the right number, don't overdo it.
Oh,
Um,
trust me, you're talking to
yeah,
Mr. Paranoid himself
yeah,
and always questioning what we're doing here on Heavy Cardboard. So trust me, I get that. But at the same time, take a second and be like, okay, that's
yeah.
kind of cool, right?
That goes back to the three wants. I need to relax a little bit more and enjoy something. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
trust me, Amanda tells me that all the time, as does Matt. So yeah, there might be something to that. I don't think you said what's your day job. I know what it is, but
I work for a large electrical um, manufacturer. I sell electrical safety equipment called fuses. So sexy. Oh my
oh,
goodness.
dude,
Let me
I'm
tell you about it.
I'm getting all hot
Yeah,
and bothered here,
I
not
know,
just because the
right?
lights.
Yes, take it off, man. Woo. But yeah, it's not fun. It's a bygone industry and just not a lot of fun. So
And board games is where it's at. I trust me, I can relate 100%.
Yes.
All right. So the last one here is Capstone ever going to do an 18xx game? Do you have interest in that?
I
Let's
do.
start
I do
there.
have interest. I do have interest. I enjoy them. I've only played two 18xx's, but there's a lot of that's a conversation that I could have for like 15 minutes on the why I'm so cautious of entering that market. But
There's I trust me, I'm fully aware of the
yes,
pitfalls there.
it's a big that's a step of I want to wait a little bit. But yes, there is a possibility. Just depends, and it's again going to depend on that where the market is. If that's something that people are wanting, then I'll
Well,
look
I
into
mean,
it.
you look at how the big success GMT has had for 1846.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was a
that's definitely a positive step, right?
yes, yes.
All right,
So
cool. All right, last thing before I let you go then. Drop some unknown knowledge for our listeners. I don't care, whatever it is. Give us something.
um I unknown knowledge like about Capstone.
Yeah.
Uh
Come on.
I feel like everything's out there. I mean,
Well, then you've done a poor job of hooking your friend up here, man.
how about just wait till you see the artwork for Wildcatters on the inside. It's gonna blow you away.
All right. So on that note, let me try and pry something for you. Did you keep the 3D aspects uh, of the pump or the oil rigs and all that to where, I mean, I've always said that I thought that was the most attractive game on the table. It just looks awesome
It's
when
about
it's
to look
actually built
better.
up.
It's about to
Oh,
look better.
all right. All right. Cool.
Hmm.
So, hey, Clay, I appreciate you doing this, dude.
Thank you, Edward. This has been I've had a good time.
Good.
Very
I
good.
hope so. And hopefully everybody watching live and everybody listening after the fact, whether it's on the podcast or what, we definitely appreciate everybody taking the time to do this. I mean, hopefully it made your Wednesday a little bit better, both Clay's, mine, and everybody listening. So thanks a lot, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. And last but not least, this is all brought to you by, honestly, y'all, because without y'all, this doesn't happen. And our Patreon supporters, we have 244 of them. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you. If it's something you want to support, patreon.com/heavy cardboard. So on behalf of Amanda and myself, Clay, both as a friend as well as a publisher in the industry, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're killing it. Keep up the great work. All right.
Thank you very much, and I love what you guys are doing. I can't wait to see more of your videos and the playthroughs. I'm looking forward to what's coming out from you guys. So I'm excited.
Cool. Appreciate that. And everybody
Yep.
watching, thanks a lot. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.